What's going on, everyone? I am back. My name is Jaren, and it's been a tough, emotional, and very rough last few weeks, but I was able to watch some movies, so we're doing double feature style. Now, the first movie I want to talk to you about is Psycho Killer. This one is about a police officer who decides to track down a killer who, after her husband, a highway patrolman, becomes one of his victims. When I first saw the trailer for this, everyone was raving that this is the movie we wanted Longlegs to be. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love what Osgood Perkins did with his movie, but when you have the writer of 7 and 8 millimeter who has drafted a script about a satanic cult serial killer, you can count me in. Those type of stories had a very dark, grimy, and a very uncomfortable vibe to them that I thought it was pretty ballsy for a studio to put out a film like that with such disturbing and extreme subject matter. Now, I did recently learn that this movie had a very interesting history in being in development hell, where originally we had Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit that was supposed to direct this film, as well as Eli Roth producing. Now, I would have been very interested to see what that vision might have turned out, because the final product that we got here was a major disappointment. I mean, I knew that from the title this movie wasn't going to be great, but damn! Even the score wasn't even trying so hard to hype or hook you into something that you weren't supposed to see. This is the kind of crap you dump in theaters in January. This is the kind of crap that you dump on streaming. And I gotta say, although there are some competent shots and ideas in this movie, none of what they wanted to convey comes out remotely engaging. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I was very frustrated with my viewing experience of The Strangers Chapter 3. And boy, oh boy, in comparison, this movie bored me to tears. The final execution was so monotonous, stringing messy plot threads together where our main character, played by Georgina Campbell, is just fed information and she conveniently shows up at the right place at the wrong time. Now, the kills, the thrills, the satanic panic demeanor was so vanilla that I gotta say, there was at least one kill that disturbed me at the slightest, and it involved a scene with a confession booth. Otherwise, all the kills, all the blood, it was just done in this silly, slow motion fashion where they just had to oversaturate it with CGI. The satanic slasher, that's what they call him, I could not take seriously, because every time he spoke, he sounded like a nasally Jason Momoa trying to do an impression of Bane and occasionally Batman. Logan Miller and Malcolm McDowell appear in this movie, and I gotta say, Miller is poorly miscasted, and McDowell definitely phones in his role. Overall, there were some plot threads that I wanted answers to, like there was some undercover cop who was feeding McDowell's cult some information, and I bet you it was that one CIA agent that we never wrapped around him again. And then just the ultimate motive, the representation, and the end game, the end goal of our satanic slasher made no sense at all, and we spend a lot of screen time with him. Oh, you could tell that when it came down to the third act, it was so rewritten and improvised at the last second that almost every line delivery from every bystander in that final act came out like garbage. It was so laughable. And this is one of those movies where the trailer was better than the actual final product, and where we could have had a lot of these great ideas, we got the most dull, hollow, and most basic ass version of it. I kept checking my watch. I kept thinking to myself, maybe we should have walked out after 20 minutes. Maybe something might happen. I just kept exchanging looks with my buddy Aaron like, are you serious? Is this it? Should we stick around any longer? I mean, if you're having your first horror experience for the very first time, this movie might not piss you off the way it might have did us, but we watch a lot of scary movies. We watch a lot of crime thrillers. We watch a lot of satanic panic cult type of shit, and this just isn't it. Now, the second and last movie I want to talk to you about is Wuthering Heights, as we follow a passionate and tumultuous love story set against the backdrop of Yorkshire moors, exploring the intense and destructive relationship between Heathcliff and Cathy Earnshaw. Now, let me start off by saying that I have not read the original 1847 source material by Emily Bronte, nor have I seen any of the 14 to 30 adaptations that were loosely inspired or ripped from the pages throughout the years. And although there are various movies and other miniseries based on this particular story, I had no idea that there were also stage productions and also other cultural interpretations that were probably set in Japan or India, all of which I'm very unfamiliar with. So I was pretty much going into this movie blind. This marks the third directorial feature of Emerald Fennell, who has done movies like Promising Young Woman and Saltburn, and I was very curious as to what she was capable of doing with a big studio picture and budget. This movie is deceptively mismarketed as an erotic and epic love story. It is anything but. This is a dark, gothic tale of class conflict, obsession, and vengeance. I mean, I was led to believe that this is what everyone was getting so hot and bothered by when I was actually just uncomfortable and frustrated all at the same time. In the words of Leanne, my better half, she basically says that this is Miscommunication the movie. And my goodness, not only are the characters of Kathy and Heathcliff just very spiteful to one another, but they are atrocious and repulsive human beings to everyone else around them, including the audience. I mean, the decisions that they would make, the torment that they would hold over one another, and just the way that they would retaliate just made me so fucking sick. This is not romantic. This was toxic. This movie is so disturbing that even during the opening credits, they are trying to convey something like lynching to be sexually arousing. And although the steamy scenes in this movie aren't to the level of 50 Shades of Grey, or porn for that matter, there is a lot of fingering with food happening, and it felt so overindulgent with the tension they were trying to build. Now, I'm not saying that the movie was terrible. The characters are terrible, but the work is there. I mean, Fennell's vision and craft in her direction, the lighting, the cinematography, the wardrobe, the art direction, the production design were just so downright immaculate. It's basically style over substance. But, I mean, from the same vein of the absurdity of Romeo and Juliet, a lot of the themes of tragedy and how love can consume you to the very end is pretty much on display. Overall, although you might walk out of this movie with a little bit of a sour aftertaste in your mouth, I do have to say that the original songs from Charlie XCX makes this a very durable visual experience, kind of like a concert. I gotta say, Margot Robbie, Jacob Elordi, and Hong Chow deliver just exceptional performances with what they were given to work with. Although I do have to say, I was very much overwhelmed with the character of Kathy that I really wish they got to flesh out the characters of Nellie and Heathcliff just a little bit more. As much as I admired seeing this on the big screen, I think this would have been better well adapted as a miniseries, or we should have gotten some type of 4-hour odyssey, because in the end, this very much felt like the Joss Whedon Justice League cut of what Wuthering Heights should have been. And although many fans and casual moviegoers might feel a sense of animosity towards Fennell's updated interpretation, I do think that she deserves to get a lot of the credit. She deserves to be applauded with the work, with the type of vision she was able to put out on the big screen with this type of scale of just IP and filmmaking. Because God forbid that maybe a male director with a much indie budget studio could have just swooped in and made similar contrivances and might have gotten all the type of accolades. So big round of applause for Emerald Fennell. You did a good job. Well, all right, guys, that's all I got to share about that movie. Psycho Killer, completely skip out on it. I mean, Wuthering Heights, if you've seen one, you've seen all of them. But honestly, I would rewatch that one. It's fucked up. I wouldn't recommend it to everybody, but definitely worth checking it out once at the least. But they're both playing out in theaters. Thank you again so much for taking some time out of the day to hear me talk some movies. I'm Jaren Ugbanawag, and I'll see you guys at the theater. In the meanwhile, take care.